Mary Sidney, Aemilia Lanyer, Elizabeth Cary, and Anne Clifford. 4 women who were born during Elizabeth's reign and knew no other ruler. What did Elizabeth's life, or her death, mean to them as women? Over the course of her 44 years in office, Elizabeth had repeatedly defied the country's expectations for a female monarch. As the 17th century philosopher and statesman Sir Francis Bacon declared, no one could have imagined so fierce a nation could be swayed and controlled at the beck of a woman. During the reign of Mary I, some outspoken Protestants dared to challenge whether women could ever rule by divine right. In his treatise, published shortly before Mary's death, entitled The First Blast of the Trumpet Against the Monstrous Regiment of Women, the Scottish Protestant John Knox argued that a female monarch was both repugnant to nature and a violation of God's will. Women, Knox exclaimed, were weak, frail, impatient, feeble, and foolish, and experience hath declared them to be unconstant, variable, cruel, and lacking the spirit of counsel. Little did he know that within months, a queen of his own faith would take over the kingdom, making his words less than opportune. His friend John Calvin quickly jumped in to try to cover up the offence. But the explanation he gave only made matters worse. In a letter to Elizabeth's Secretary of State, Sir William Cecil, Calvin affirmed Knox's general position. He even likened women's rule to slavery, calling them 2 evils God had delivered to punish mankind. But he conceded that there were some women specially endowed with the singular blessing of God. Elizabeth, in short, was an exception to the rule. The idea of Elizabeth as an exception did nothing to change the period's general perceptions of women. Far from being held up as a role model, she was merely set apart from the rest of her sex. The Queen's own rhetoric affirmed her unique status, framing her gender as something to be overcome. On some occasions, she defined herself as essentially male. I know I have the body but of a weak and feeble woman, she proclaimed before her troops at Tilbury in 1588. But I have the heart and stomach of a king. At other times, as in her golden speech to Parliament in November 1601, she declared that her unusual talents came directly from God. Should I ascribe any of these things unto myself, or my sexly weakness, I were not worthy to live. If Elizabeth's public speeches tended to deny her sexly weakness, her personal appearance oddly pulled in the opposite direction. She was nothing if not a bundle of contradictions. As confirmed, even on her deathbed, she wore an extravagant amount of makeup, covering her skin with the whitest of powders. She dyed her hair, and also had a variety of red and blonde wigs. She carried herself in a coquettish manner. As she grew older, her love of clothing became ever more of an obsession. By the end of her reign, she had over 3,000 dresses in the Great Wardrobe at Westminster. After a private audience with the 64-year-old Queen at Whitehall in 1597, the French ambassador André Hérault reported that Elizabeth had left her gown open in front, so that he could see the whole of her bosom, which he noted was somewhat wrinkled. Her face, he added, is and appears to be very aged, while her teeth were yellow and unequal, with many of them missing.